Welcome back. Now, Namibia's state-owned power utility NamPower recently obtained a 2.6 billion loan from the World Bank. Now, the purpose of this loan is to enhance its transmission network and incorporate more renewable energy sources, as well as that is rather into the national grid. Now, the magnitude of this investment has evoked varied sentiments, as it holds a potential that is to greatly reshape Namibia's energy sector. Now, to help us understand more about the potential economic effects, we are now joined, that is, by Rodney Hoaeb, who is an economic analyst. Good evening and welcome to the show, Rodney.
Good evening, Erica, and thank you for having me.
All right. Now, first things first, maybe just talk to us about the overall assessment of this mentioned loan and what does it mean that is for the entire country?
It's a very pivotal point because we are at a junction when electrical supplies plays a pivotal role in economic development and growth. Infrastructure, especially with electricity in Namibia, especially is hampered by natural causes. Our dependence pretty much is on the Rokana, and when drought seasons, as the current one that we are in, hits, we kind of have a shortfall in terms of energy supply. And I applaud the initiative because it sets puts the country in motion for getting up of any future challenges with regards to energy supply. And I believe it's a good trajectory, but we have to look at the nature of the loan that is coming.
All right. Now, maybe just talk to us about the key goals that NamPower hopes to achieve, that is, with this mentioned loan.
I believe they were quoted to enhance the transmission line, because I have to speak as an independent and not as a NamPower person. The analysis from my point of view, looking at the transmission capacity that we have, it goes hand in hand with production capacity. With energy, you do not just set in place that you can produce the energy, but the end goal of making sure that this energy go to the end sources, which is your houses, the businesses and the industries that really require the energy sources. And secondly, I believe that the second focus was also on renewable energy. Renewable energy always sums up a credible approach for energy production, especially from a non-carbon intensive nature. And I believe that it is also the purpose that it wants to fulfill. And looking at the current, the position where we are globally, that is that the funding, or the major funding sources basically back such initiatives. All right.
Now, from an economic perspective, what are some of the main benefits that you foresee that is in this mentioned investment brought to Namibia? Maybe talk to us about the long and as well as the short-term investments.
Basically, the benefits depends on what angle we are. The benefits will be primarily from a production perspective, but there's also an element of the taxpayer perspective. It depends on the sketchy details that were not really disclosed in terms of what the loan terms and conditions were. Is it a concession loan? Is it an interest-free loan? And what are the other commitments, the binding commitments that we have to meet in order to service this loan? And it is not quite really small money. It is quite a hefty amount. And then we also have to answer that when we get the funds, what are the immediate or the tangible results that we can get from this loan? After the loan, shall we still import energy? Shall we still be dependent on in terms of environmental supply constraints, like your drought constraints? And how much megawatts of energy shall we achieve with this? Currently, we know that Namibia has a quite huge shortfall of, I believe in my last analysis, it was 70% of energy that we import from sources within the Southern African Power Pool, or the SEP. And then we also import from the Eskom power utility. Now, if you look at the adverse effects, is that Eskom basically has a better benefit of importing or exporting electricity to Namibia because we pay more, a better, higher amount for that electricity, which basically touches on the inflationary levels of products that we can get in our country. It has an effect on inflation, not at the same pace as it does from the exporting country. And then the effects that it also has is that the pricing parity, or the benchmarks that we can draw within the entire SADC region, is that Namibia has the highest rate per kilowatts per hour that we are paying for electricity. The way and the structure these energy costs are done, it is to accommodate a lot of distribution costs, production costs, but also the levies that are attached to it. So, in the energy sector and petroleum sector, we basically have also attached and hidden costs that are tied to the levies, and we don't just pay for a liter of petrol, but we additionally pay for the petroleum fund and the alternate, composite costs that are attached to it. Now, looking at electricity, we should also look at that the revenue of City of Windhoek, for example, 60% comes from electricity, which basically makes them a central red in that space. And then not just that it also ties along with the economic disparities, that it makes things that are manufactured in Namibia not affordable enough. And then our industrial capacity of attracting investors in that space has not been very much attractive. Therefore, these are conversations that we need to have from a user vis-a-vis productions level, that perspective, that we can look at it and then speak about, as a business community, what are the inputs that NamPower and the ECB are welcoming for us to make our views to be heard.
All right. Now, Rodney, as mentioned earlier, this loan will help fund, that is, a new transmission lines as well as infrastructure. But maybe talk to us about the importance of upgrading and expanding Namibia's grid to enable more renewable energies in this case.
Namibia's grid currently at the moment is not only geared towards energy on your nominal conventional baseload energy transmission. I believe that there are various talks in the economic fora about rolling out energy for green hydrogen, and also new mining initiatives that are coming up. Within regions, there are various and diverse challenges with terms of energy supply. We know that there are, companies like Dante Precious Metals, for example, where they have signaled for a while that their production capacity is constrained by shortage of energy, and I understood that NamPower also in the same vein was trying to establish a biomass energy plant for them. Not just that, energy transmission and production plays a key role because Namibia is very spread out. It is a country with a land mass or a land, a density of, I think, 8,000 square or something.
Yeah.
Which means that we are a very huge country, and for you to reach from one corner of the country to the other corner of the country, it attracts enormous cost for you to roll it out.
Absolutely.
And energy cost, and I have realized there was a study that was done by the ECB in connection with the MCON engineering company, and they have also drawn in some of the most specific things in terms of a recovery model, in terms of the infrastructure that is ailing, or like kind of a replacement called a cost approach, and also a profit-making or revenue-making approach. And I believe that there's a strong trade-off in servicing existing infrastructure and also moving forward in terms of creating a new energy sources. And in terms of that as well, just to add, if we have a new dimension or dispensation of green hydrogen, we will need a strong load infrastructure that can handle the capacity of a gigawatt, 2 gigawatts, and such enormous capacity of energy. The current state does not actually accommodate for that, and that is why I believe that it was a critical point to make this call for a loan.
All right. Now let's talk about the renewable energies, or rather the projects that are likely to be developed out of this loan. What did you say? What would you say are the renewable energy projects that can come up?
Okay. Currently, in terms of Namibia's energy capacity, renewables only cater for about 10% of Namibia's overall energy output, and I believe it is a very subtle amount comparative to other countries, how far they have gone in maximizing harnessing the renewable sources of energy. And I believe that there can be done a lot in that space because it can come with it a cost element. Renewable energy, comparatively with coal, is quite cheaper in terms of comparison, although people like me would stand by the side of a progressive move towards SMR or a modular nuclear energy supply sources, which can also play a big role because of their producing capacity of 400 megawatts and upwards by a single plant. And then the fact that we really have uranium that is locally produced as well. And then having renewable source also is the answer for immediate. But in terms of renewable energy is that there are definite and differential ways how renewable energy is applied. For example, if NamPower or the energy producers in Namibia, and this is a very important point that I'm making, consider a cost approach that is determined on the seasons that we are in, not just in terms of the load or the peak hours that we have. For example, there are seasons, and I believe that report has highlighted that as well. The report has stated that consider that in months where energy supply is not at a peak level, that you can lower or reduce the cost of the charges. In South Africa, that's why South Africa scores the lowest, and they have ridiculously very, very low rates of energy that they really give for industrial and companies of that sort. Why? Because when there is a short when there is a gap of low utilization, then it means that the strain on the transmission lines are not a lot, which means the capacity for maintenance is also lower.
Right. Now, Rodney, is there anything else that you'd just like to perhaps just contribute to that before we let you go?
I would believe that we should push more for a progressive policies in terms of household and rooftop energy production.
All right. Well, Rodney, thank you so much for making time for us here in Daily Roundup.
Thank you, Erica.
All right. Now, that was Rodney Hoaeb just talking to us about the potential economic impacts as well as implications that might come with this recently mentioned 2.6 billion that NamPower has obtained. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.